Every single Monday, he tells himself the same thing. This week will be different. But somehow, it never is. The alarm rings at 6 a.m. He had big plans for this morning. The motivation he felt last night, completely gone. He sits on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. He wanted to run. He planned to run. But wanting and doing, those are two very different things. Instead, he finds himself on the couch again, remote in hand, whispering those three familiar words, maybe tomorrow. And when he looks in the mirror, he sees someone who has been waiting for the right mood, the right moment, waiting for motivation to finally arrive and stay. So he tries again. He opens a notebook, writes "my goals" at the top, and feels that familiar electric spark of possibility. Motivation hits like lightning. Suddenly, he's unstoppable, fired up, ready to change everything. This time will be different. He can feel it in his bones. And for a brief, beautiful moment, he actually moves. He walks with purpose. He feels like an entirely new person. But 3 days later, he's back on the couch, scrolling. The energy is gone. The motivation has vanished, just like it always does. He throws his arms open and asks the real question. Why does this keep happening? Why can he never stay consistent? Because here is the brutal truth about motivation. It comes fast, it feels incredible, and then it leaves. It was never designed to stay. So he picks up a book, not for entertainment, but for answers. And what he discovers inside changes the entire direction of his life. Motivation is a feeling. It rises and falls like the weather. But discipline is a system. And unlike feelings, systems don't depend on how you feel. Point 1. Motivation is temporary. It is an emotion that visits you occasionally, not a force that lives permanently inside you. But discipline is a decision you make before the feeling shows up. It is the gear that keeps turning, even when the flame goes completely out. The journey of discipline doesn't begin with a dramatic transformation. It begins right here, at day 1, with one small, quiet, unglamorous choice. He doesn't wait until he feels ready. He shows up at the starting line, feeling absolutely nothing special, and he goes anyway. That is the whole game. He runs, not because he is inspired, not because it is easy, but because he decided he would. And that decision is more powerful than any feeling. He opens the laptop and begins working, not when the mood strikes, but because it is Tuesday. And Tuesday is a work day. As simple as that. One checkbox checked. One small promise kept to himself. It doesn't feel extraordinary, but every great life ever built was constructed from exactly these kinds of moments. He eats well, not because he is on a motivation kick, but because he decided his body deserves consistency, not chaos. That is discipline in a bowl. He goes to bed at the same time every night. Rest is not the opposite of discipline. It is a core part of it. The disciplined person protects their sleep. Day 2. The alarm goes off at 5:45 a.m. He stretches, not gracefully, not happily, but he gets up, because that is what disciplined people do. He makes his morning drink, same as yesterday. The routine is beginning to feel like armor, something he puts on before facing the world. He opens his journal and reflects, not because everything is going perfectly, but because self-awareness is the very first tool of real growth. 7 days marked. 1 full week. It doesn't feel like a miracle, but it is one. Because last month, he couldn't make it past day 2. You won't see the change in a dramatic moment, but something is shifting, quietly, invisibly, week by week, choice by choice. The graph of his growth is not dramatic. It is slow and steady, but the bars keep rising because he keeps showing up regardless of how he feels. There is a version of him that wants to quit. That voice is real and loud. But disciplined people don't silence that voice. They simply stop obeying it. Here is something remarkable that science actually confirms. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, your brain physically changes. Literally, neurologically. The brain is not fixed and unchangeable. It is flexible and adaptive. Habits and repeated choices physically reshape the neural pathways inside your mind. You are literally rewiring yourself. Path A is comfortable and familiar. Path B is hard and uncertain. Discipline is simply the repeated act of choosing Path B again and again, even when Path A is right there. The staircase is not a metaphor for overnight success. It is a metaphor for one step, then the next, then the one after. No skipping, no shortcuts, no elevator. He puts his phone away, not because someone forced him, but because he finally understands exactly where his attention and time have been disappearing to. Time does not wait for motivation. Every hour you spend waiting to feel ready is an hour the disciplined person spent actually doing the work. Time is the great equalizer. Every single day, you are choosing, whether you realize it or not. You are always choosing between the comfortable door and the door that leads to growth. Day 14. He does his push-ups. He doesn't feel powerful. He doesn't feel inspired. He feels tired. And he does them anyway. That is the entire secret compressed into one moment. He reads every single day. 30 minutes, no more, no less. Small and deeply consistent. The ideas accumulate like compound interest stored in a mental bank account. He earns a small win. He holds it quietly. No announcement, no performance for others. Just the private, sacred satisfaction of a promise kept to himself. Discipline is not a sprint. It is a walk. Slow, deliberate, and one foot in front of the other. Every single day, regardless of weather, mood, or circumstance. He pauses to breathe, to feel the morning, to appreciate the day. Discipline doesn't mean being a machine. It means being intentional, even in your moments of rest. He checks in honestly with his time, not obsessively, but clearly. Where is his time actually going? Is it flowing toward the life he genuinely wants to build? He practices stillness, 5 quiet minutes of just breathing. The disciplined mind is also a calm mind, not constantly running at full speed, but capable of deliberate pause. When you place motivation and discipline side by side on a scale, discipline will always be heavier, because discipline shows up even on the days when motivation weighs absolutely nothing. The most powerful mental shift you can make is this. Stop waiting to feel like doing it. Start doing it regardless, and trust completely that the feeling will eventually catch up. Late at night, while the world sleeps, he writes in his journal. This is when the real identity change happens. In the quiet, unseen, unglamorous hours nobody applauds. He is halfway there. Not all the way, not yet. But he doesn't panic or catastrophize. Progress is still progress, and he has learned to measure it without harsh judgment. He lifts the weight, not because it feels easy, but because his body is a system too. And every system requires regular, consistent investment to function at its best. His friend chooses games. He chooses books. Neither choice is wrong for the other person, but he knows what he is building toward, and his choices reflect his deepest priorities. He has reached the halfway point of his 100-day challenge. Behind him, 50 days of real effort. Ahead, 50 more. He looks forward and takes the next step. Day 53. It is a genuinely hard day. Nothing is working, everything feels wrong, and the urge to quit is louder than it has ever been. This moment is where it actually counts. He stops. He breathes. Not as failure, but as strategy. The disciplined person knows the critical difference between quitting and resetting. He chooses to reset. He picks the pen back up. He returns to the journal. He returns to the system. Because real champions don't break the chain forever. They return to it with quiet dignity. He looks in the mirror again, and this time, the reflection is genuinely different. Not dramatically, not overnight, but undeniably. Something real has changed inside him. He meal preps on Sunday, not because it is exciting, but because preparation removes the daily friction of deciding what to eat. Discipline is fundamentally the elimination of unnecessary friction. He sets a 2-hour no-phone block every single day. The phone goes face down. This one small habit returns hours of real, focused life back to him every single week. 30 minutes of reading per day. 1 book every 2 weeks. 12 books per year. This is what the quiet, invisible power of daily consistency looks like when stretched across real time. Every habit, every single one, has exactly 3 parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Understanding this loop is precisely how you design your own discipline system from the ground up. The cue is your trigger, the alarm clock, the morning light, the specific signal that tells your brain it is time. Give every habit you want to build a clear, consistent starting signal. The cue is your trigger, the alarm clock, the morning light, the specific signal that tells your brain it is time. Give every habit you want to build a clear, consistent starting signal. The reward closes the loop beautifully. A check mark, a feeling of genuine pride, a small celebration. Your brain needs to register the win, so it actually wants to repeat the habit tomorrow. Your entire life is like a row of dominoes waiting to fall. One small, disciplined action, just one, is all it takes to trigger a chain reaction that changes absolutely everything. Watch what happens when the dominoes fall. Each one pushes the next with perfect momentum. That is precisely what discipline does. It creates unstoppable momentum, where once there was only stillness. If you zoom in closely on any truly successful person's typical day, you won't find magic or luck or superhuman talent. You will find a morning routine, a focused work block, and a recovery plan. You will find systems. The growth curve of real discipline doesn't shoot up dramatically overnight. It rises slowly and steadily. But here is the crucial key. When you are disciplined, it absolutely never stops climbing. You may not see it in yourself yet today, but your future self is already growing in your shadow. Every disciplined choice you make right now is quietly feeding the person you are in the process of becoming. Discipline is exactly like planting a seed. You don't see anything happening for a long, frustrating time. But underground, quietly, invisibly, the roots are growing deeper. Hold on. You water it every single day, not because you can see results yet, but because you trust the process completely. This patient faithfulness is the hardest part, and also the most important part. He plans his entire week in advance, not because he is rigid or controlling, but because a life without a clear plan will always default to someone else's agenda for your time. 3 checks, 3 promises kept to himself. Small in scale, but massive in significance. This is exactly how a new identity is constructed. One kept promise at a time, day after day. Look at who you were, and look honestly at who you are becoming. The gap between those 2 columns is not empty space. That gap is exactly where discipline has been living and working. He reaches for his dream, slowly, consistently, without quitting. The star doesn't move dramatically closer with each reach, but he keeps reaching anyway. That sustained reaching is the entire practice. Here is the single identity shift that changes everything permanently. Stop saying, "I am trying to be more disciplined," and start saying, "I am someone who shows up." That small language shift rewires your entire reality. James Clear said it precisely and powerfully. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Build better systems, not just bigger, more ambitious dreams. And here he stands. Not perfect, not superhuman, not gifted with extraordinary talent. Just someone who decided to show up day after day until showing up became simply who he is. The mountain is real. The journey is real. And it starts right here at the bottom. Not when you finally feel ready, but the moment you make the decision to begin. Climbing is genuinely hard. Your legs burn, your breath shortens, your arms ache. But you keep moving, because the person who quits at the base never discovers what exists at the top. Sometimes you must stop, turn around, and honestly honor how far you have already come. The view from halfway up the mountain is still a view that most people will never see in their entire lives. After every pause, you reach again. That is not weakness in any form. That is wisdom. Discipline includes knowing precisely when to rest and exactly when to rise back up. He can see the top now. His fingertips nearly touch it. This is where everything, every early morning, every hard day, every small invisible choice finally converges into one magnificent moment. He makes it, arms raised, heart full. Not because he was the most naturally talented person, but because he was the most relentlessly consistent. In the end, discipline won completely. He sits at the very summit, not rushing immediately to the next mountain, just being present in this moment, feeling what it truly means to have earned something through quiet, patient, persistent effort. He looks in the mirror one final time, and he sees himself with complete clarity. Not who he was before, not who he merely wished to become, but who he has actually, genuinely become. 30 days, every single one checked. Not because every day was easy or comfortable or inspired, but because every single day he made the choice to show up, easy or not. Month 2 begins, not with fireworks or grand announcements, just a blank page and a pen. Because real growth is not a destination you arrive at. It is a daily practice that never truly ends. He looks at who he used to be with compassion and understanding, not shame or regret. That older version of him was doing the very best he could with what he knew. And now, so is this version. He sets the past down gently and walks forward. Because the single most powerful move you can make today is to keep going, even after you fully understand and appreciate how far you have already come. Remember these 3 essential principles. Start small. Stay consistent. Trust the process. These are not 3 steps to overnight success. They are 3 principles for an entire lifetime of meaningful growth. Your discipline is a flame, small and precious. It may flicker in the wind, it may dim on hard days, but it never has to go completely out, as long as you keep returning to protect and tend it. Let discipline be your compass, not your fluctuating feelings, not the weather outside, not what other people think of your choices. Your compass always points reliably toward who you are choosing to become. 365 days sounds like a very long time, but it is also simply today, done right, repeated 365 times. You don't need to see the entire path clearly. You only need to take the very next step. I want to speak directly to you for just a moment. The one watching this video right now, the one who knows deep down they are genuinely capable of far more than they have yet shown the world. So here is the only real question, not whether you feel motivated today, but this: what is the one small, specific action you will take today? Just one. That is truly all this ever requires. One step. Just one. Not the entire staircase, just the very next step that is right in front of you. That single step is the entire practice of discipline compressed into its purest, most essential form. Be genuinely patient with yourself throughout this journey. Growth is never perfectly linear. Some days will feel exactly like failure. Those days count just as much. Show yourself discipline and compassion in equal measure. Look at what grew from one tiny seed, watered faithfully every single day, protected patiently through all uncertainty. Your habits are your garden. What you tend to and water consistently grows. Here is the beautiful paradox that a disciplined life teaches you. The more intentional structure you build into your days, the more genuinely free you actually become. Discipline does not imprison you. Discipline equals freedom. He stands now at the edge of his open future, back to the camera, facing forward into the wide open space of what comes next. He is completely ready, because discipline has made him into someone who always shows up. Thank you sincerely for watching this video all the way through. If this message moved something in you, if it reminded you of something you already know to be true, let that feeling be your signal to act. Share it, save it, return to it when you need it most. Start today, not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when the conditions are finally perfect. Today, with one small, disciplined, deliberate, and beautiful step forward into the life you are choosing to build.